Hello everyone and welcome back to part 6 on how to create a Friday Night Funkin game in Roblox. Before we start this video, I just want to say that I found a lot of people in my comment section saying make a model of this, the scripts does not work. I just want to say everything works fine. It works fine for me, it should work fine for you. If it does not work though, you should have errors in the output, and if you don't, you just gotta like read your script and compare it to mine. And also, I will not be making a model of this or giving the scripts in the description. Like, I won't get anything. People won't watch my tutorials, and you guys will just copy and paste everything in the workspace and follow the instructions, and that's it. And I just don't want that to happen. So I won't be giving a model. That's it. We're gonna start off by finishing this series. So we're gonna go to our. We're gonna test the game with 2 players and see how it is so far, and we'll see what we should do and what we should add in this tutorial. Okay, so for some reason it's not loading, so we gotta do this again. Clean up, start another server, and wait for it. Which takes ages for some reason because the Roblox Studio is just so damn annoying. Okay, so it does not want to load for some reason. So I think I gotta restart Studio real quick. I just gotta do this, Roblox Studio, and that should be it. So I'm gonna go back to my, oh, not that, I don't want to open up my game, I don't want to leak my game. So we're gonna go to FNF game, and what we'll be doing is test the game with 2 players and see how it is so far and what we have done so far. So let's start a 2-player server. See how this is and figure out what we should add to this in this tutorial. Okay, so the game just started. So I could go ahead and press start. It says waiting for another player, and if we go ahead and do this, our camera tweens, and you should have like this thing, and you can click, and yeah, that's all we have done so far. So all we're gonna do in this tutorial is polishing the game a little bit, and in the next tutorial we're gonna be doing some real progress, like for real progress, like score system and other stuff that's essential to the game. But for now we're just gonna be polishing it a bit by adding a menu screen. So add the part to the workspace, go to here to model, make sure it's anchored, and make sure that king collide is unchecked, and put it up in the air. So let's move it up, something like this. And maybe I want it to face like that. And what we want to do is just rename it to camera part, and inside of your main server script, or we're gonna add a script in start GUI, and make sure it's a local script, and we're gonna type in local cam part is equal to workspace wait for child cam part. And then we're gonna have local let's do camera is equal to workspace dot current camera, and then we're gonna do a let's do wait 5 seconds, and what we're gonna be doing is camera dot camera type is equal to enum dot camera type dot scriptable, and camera dot cframe is equal to camera part cam part dot cframe. And now if you go ahead and play the game, it should set the C frame of the camera to the C frame of the part. So I think the weight 5 is a bit too much. So we're gonna fix that right now by just making it rotate and remove the wait time. So inside of your cam part, we're gonna add a script which will be rotate. So rotate, and inside of your rotate script, we're gonna get tween service. So local ts is equal to game on get service tween service. Now we're gonna do local tween info is equal to tween info is equal to tween info.new and drop line, and we're gonna get the duration time so of the tween, which is going to be 3 for me, and we're gonna do the isIn style, so enum.isIn style dot sign and comma enum.isIn, and make sure you end with a comma each time, so enum.isIn direction dot in out comma, and we're gonna set this to -1 so that it repeats infinitely, and we're gonna set this to true so that it returns the tween to false, and I mean so that it inverts the tween. What I just said does not make any sense. And then we're gonna have, I think, the time between each tween, so we're gonna set that to 0, and local rotation tween is equal to tween ts colon create. We're gonna do script.parent comma comma and these brackets, and then we're gonna have in here before those we're gonna have the tween info and comma and then these brackets, and in here we're gonna set the C frame to we're gonna set the orientation is equal, I think C frame is better, but I'm gonna use orientation 360. I think we have orientation is equal to vector3 dot new, and we're gonna set this to 0. We're gonna first look at the axis, so we're gonna rotate it on the y-axis. So inside of your y-axis, we're gonna set this to 0 and 360 and 0, and then we're gonna play the tween. So rotation tween colon play, and now if you go ahead and play the game, oh, it won't actually work right now, but if you go to server view, it should rotate the part infinitely, and it goes like this and then goes back to normal. I'm gonna show you how to turn off that effect, which is extremely easy to do, but in here you want to do game colon get service run service dot render stepped colon connect function and we're gonna do this and just copy this, and we're gonna set the scriptable thing to before this, and in here we're gonna remove this, and if you go ahead and play the game, as soon as we join we should have the C frame like that, but as you can see it's like, I don't even know how to explain this, but it's like very buggy. So we just gotta change the speed, so make sure this is like a big number like 15 or something, and then you should be good to go. So if we go ahead and play, it should be smooth, but as you can see it's still way too fast. And I also want to turn off the effect that makes it goes back, so make sure you set this to false and set this to linear instead, and the time to 30 seconds. That should have it to like a really good time. Okay, so we're gonna go back to here, and as you can see now we have a nice play screen. But before we do that, we're gonna add a blur effect to lighting. So add a blur, and let me just check something. Okay, so that's not a problem. As I said, add a blur effect, and you want to choose the value you want for the blur. So I want it to be like something like this, like 22. So we're gonna have the size for now set to 0, and inside of your local script, we're gonna rename this to menu. And then what you want to do is just change the blur when they join. So game dot lighting dot blur dot size is equal to like 22 or something. So now if you go ahead and play the game, we should see the blur and some nice rotation, which you can't really notice because there are like no builds or anything. But if you get a map real quick, so I was gonna like a map, or let's place a couple of trees. Just gonna get a tree that I made. So tree, just a random tree. Let's get the one by, let's get the asset packed by Exodus. Maybe just this one, just to get a little like I don't even know. Let's just put random stuff everywhere. Or actually, let's just not do this. We're just doing this to notice the. Wait, let me just put that back. Okay. So again, we're just doing this for the look. So we're gonna just look for the tree really quick. Then I'm just going to copy and paste. So for example, this tree that I made a while ago, I'm gonna put it this big, just to make sure that you guys can see the rotation and other stuff. I'm gonna put it right there, one right here, and then you guys should be able to notice the difference now. So if you go ahead and play the game now, it should have a nice twin camera, which I really like, but I don't like how blurry this is, so I'm gonna change that to 0, or maybe even something like this. Okay, so we're gonna keep it at 22 or 20. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a play screen. So inside of your main screen GUI, add a text button or maybe an image button. I'm going to get an image button instead, so I'm going to delete this, add an image button, and I'm going to go to the size and make it 0.5, 0, 0.5, 0, and you want to set the anchor point to 0.5, and we will scale that down. And then what we're going to be doing is we're going to change the image to the image that we want. So I'm going to get a nice little UI image. So these are just some maps. I think it's in the GFX thing, and it's inside of the icons, or I think it's inside of the UI. Yes, and I'm going to get my button, and I'm going to change the background transparency, and also you can use an image button. There is nothing wrong with that. So I'm going to have the button right here, and it will be right there, and we're going to rename it to play, and I'm going to add a text label to it, and I'm going to set the size of this thing to 0.8, 0, 0.8, 0.8, 0, and then we're going to change the anchor point to 0.5 and the position to let's just center it normally, and I'm going to change the background transparency to 1 and the text scale to true, and text color to white, and the text to play. Maybe like play with a sign like this, and the font to a nice Source Sans bold, or maybe Fredoka one, and the text stroke transparency to 0. And I think that looks pretty cool. What I'm gonna do now is add a duplicate this text label, put it inside of here, and we're gonna put it right here. And just maybe here is going to be the game name or something. Text to game game name, and we're gonna center this play button. So I'm gonna put that right here, and that should be pretty cool. Now we're gonna put these inside of a folder. So rename this to game name, and we're gonna add a folder. We're gonna rename it to a menu, and we'll add this and put those right here. And then we're gonna make sure that visible is unchecked, and inside of your menu screen, what we're gonna be doing is, I think we have to make this a connection. So local in menu is equal to let's just call it in menu. So in here we're gonna set in menu to this, and this is called a connection. What we're gonna be doing is script.parent.main.menu.play.mouse button on click on connect function, and in menu colon disconnect. So we're gonna disconnect the run service event. And what we're gonna be doing is set the camera type. So camera type is equal to enum.camera type.custom, and for I, v in pairs, script.parent.main.menu colon get children, do v.visible is equal to false, and we're gonna copy this for loop, and we're gonna put it right here and set this to true instead of false. So true, and if you go ahead and play the game now, you should see some good looking results. And maybe, just maybe, you want to tween the camera, so we'll do that. As you can see, it rotates, which looks epic, and we can hit play, and we forgot to cancel the blur. So we're gonna use a nice little tween for the blur. So we're gonna get tween service. So local ts is equal to game colon get service tween service, and in here, when they press it, we're gonna play tween. So ts colon create, let me zoom in, game dot lighting dot blur, comma tween info dot new, and this is going to be the time that it takes. I want it to take like 2 seconds, comma, and you want to set the size to 20 or to 0, and then you want to play the tween colon play. And now if you go ahead and play the game, you should be able to see the tween happening when we play this. So as you can see, it fades out, and maybe, just maybe, you want the camera to tween smoothly. So to do this, all we have to do is to create a tween again. So before we set this to custom, we're gonna Control X this and paste it right here. We're gonna wait 2 seconds and we're gonna create another tween. So ts create camera, comma, we're gonna set the tween info.new. We're gonna set this to 2 seconds and a comma, cframe is equal to game dot players dot local player dot character dot humanoid dot head dot cframe dot look vector times 3, and then we're gonna play the tween. So colon play. So make sure that your line of code looks like this, and if you go ahead and play the game now, when you press the button, you should be able to see the tween happening. So the camera should tween. So it does not work. So we're gonna see why. Head. Oh, that's really easy to fix. Just put character.head instead of character.humanoid.head. Just put character.head and save these changes. And then you wanna play the game. And press play, and we still have a problem due to typed something. So this error is actually pretty easy to fix, I think. At least I think so. So cframe is equal to head.cframe plus vector3.new. I think it's gonna be the, let's add a head or a special mesh to workspace. Special mesh, and we're gonna zoom in. We're gonna set the mesh type to head, mesh ID. For some reason I just can't see it, so we're gonna have a part. Or let's just not do this, that's a bad idea. I think when you're playing a game, at least I think so, the y-axis is the showing the head. We want the head, the player, and the head. Okay, so it's the z-axis. So we're gonna move the z-axis over here. So let's do that right now. We're just gonna have to move the x-axis, the z, sorry. So let's put this to 1, 1, and 5 for the z-axis, or -5, I think. Probably -5. Okay, so if we go ahead and play the game, it actually works. That's pretty cool. So that's a pretty decent load main screen for play screen for a game. So if you're making a game, this can be used in any sort of game, but it's just really useful for me. And I'm also going to be using this for my own game because I think it looks really nice, especially with those nice rotating effects, tweening, and other stuff. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with the results so far. If this helps, make sure to subscribe, like the video, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.